Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. This is podcast number 2 of the new season. Hector is waving to me to ask me to remind you that we may have some technical difficulties as an early warning, because the man with the white van has now been removed from Stoke and been replaced by the man with the white van from Lurgan, who is somewhere in the middle of deepest, darkest Donegal. Good evening, Monty Seaburns.
Good evening, Desi. Good evening, lads. Good evening, midgies eating the life out of me.
Yeah, apparently the C now stands for cargo. I don't know what's going on in Donegal, but we'll try and stick to the. We'll try and stick to the
That's
football.
his trousers, Deggy. That's his trousers. Pair of cargos.
Exactly. Very, very worried. So this is a warning for anyone. If Monty Seaburns suddenly stops talking, chances are he's lost his Wi-Fi signal in deepest, darkest Donegal. But good evening, Monty. Welcome. Good evening to Hector Bandido, who's joining from the suburbs. Looking very sprightly before he goes in for a major operation to make him even more handsome, apparently. And then we're glad to say we have been joined by the new professional pallbearer, Ralph Mouth. Good evening, Ralph.
How you doing?
So, Ralph, how is the new job at Undertakers? How's it going?
Slow.
Kind of deaf. Right. So welcome everyone. Thank you as always for joining. Thanks to the panel for joining. Thanks to everyone for listening in. Thanks for all your likes and subscribes and comments, and including comments on Ralph's E-Tims diary or etims.net. I've got a couple of special shout outs. First of all, special shout out to Big Paul Lyons, who sadly has broken his back and possibly his hip and pelvis by falling out a loft. Get well soon to the big man. Roseanne Scott also asked for a birthday shout out. See, we do get actually dedications. Strange. We have a birthday shout out for our wee boy Kieran and our nephew Ross. So happy birthday to the boys. And this is the end of month. So Hector, we had a chat at the 2nd of August was our last pod. And it was Flag Day. Do you remember we had the booing debate? So you were there because I wasn't even.
Oh, I was laughing. I was still laughing at you, Desi. Still laughing at you.
So did you boo? Did you boo that day?
Did you boo? For fuck's sake. Can I get back, Desi, a wee step before you start? A wee step to Paul Lyons. You mentioned some horrendous injuries. I couldn't help but thinking the injuries that Peter Lawwell's going to have when he finds out we're spending £11 million on a player. He must be fucking. His wallet will break his feet when he hears that.
A player that's not even starting on Sunday, but we'll come to that, right?
Anyway, sorry, right.
We'll come. No, that's fine. Let's go backwards to come forward. So, Flag Day, excellent. No booing, that was lovely. We did say that the booing debate could run all month, right? So it has been a strange wee month, which we'll cover now. But I wanted this to come to you first, Hector.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the league and the performances so far. Is it a case of so far so great? Have you been happy so far?
I think we all have been, Desi. I think the performances since then. The last podcast, right? The end of last season, last couple of months, we stepped up a gear or two, but it coincided with all of our best players being available. We've been saying this all season. Your Carter Vickers, your Rio Hitatis, you get your best players in beside your O'Reillys at the time, and obviously Calmax. We're a better team. Pre-season was fantastic. Then obviously the start of this season, I think we played 4 games, 3 in the league, 1 in the cup, and the performance has been really good, really impressive. We've jumped on a gear or two. We can all see it. It's been great to watch, and there's no complaints. I mean, August for us has been a really good month, and fingers crossed we take all that into next couple of days and next month.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, Ralph, you have been mentioning in the diary, you have had some major concerns that Casper Schmeichel may fall asleep leaning against the post.
The biggest difference is at the start of last season we couldn't see what Rodgers was trying to do. This season you can see that things suddenly gone very, very well. We're holding back and we're keeping the ball and having another shot at it. we look like a team with a plan again. I've kind of tried to coin a phrase which hasn't caught on. All right, we might not be stronger on paper, but we're certainly stronger on the pitch, and that's where it matters.
Mm-hmm. So, Monty, I just like to let everyone know, try to get this mental picture. Monty has now placed himself actually in the van, as far as I can tell. So are you now sitting in the van, Monty?
The fucking midges are eating me alive. You don't understand, man. Fucking vicious up here.
That's what you get for moving to deepest, darkest Donegal. You were warned. So, Monty,
even the midges are still bitter that Armagh won the All Ireland and not Donegal. Even their fucking midges aren't happy. One for Phil, by the way.
You heard it here first. So, Monty, you being the footballer in the team, because apparently you did score at Celtic Park, allegedly. Have you had any concerns? There's been a few kind of quotes about any concerns at all about us starting really brightly, then fading away at all during games. We've not really had that killer instinct as yet.
It's the one minor criticism you could put to the team at the minute, that they're just not really killing teams off in the way that the dominance of the way they're playing deserves, Desi. But I think in the main, that sharpness comes with games. As Hector pointed out, we're 4 games in, the performances are just good. I actually think, and I don't think we've really touched upon it, but I think that uptick in performances, as Hector said, best players coming back, quite obviously. But when Rodgers brought in that coach, that former Leicester City coach, it seems to have, and listening to the couple of clips, they show you in training before match day, it's his voice booming, that English sort of accent voice booming all over the training ground. And I'm wondering, Desi, is there an element of that coming from the coaching that they're receiving now? And I think as we get sharper, Desi, we should be putting 3 or 4 or 5 past teams. Only fear would be maybe, you peak too early in a season. But that's more of a Gaelic thing than a soccer thing, I guess.
Again, as you said, very minor criticism. We've never had any concerns during the game. Is it Adam Sadler we're talking about there?
That's the boy.
Is that the guy, Adam Sadler?
Yeah.
So again, these things are been in, and you do see a lot of happy faces around the training ground. So that's good. So we can dismiss performances so far, and we'll come on to the Rangers game, which is happening on Sunday. Currently, it is 8 p.m. on the Friday the 30th of August 2024. So, Hector, last time we spoke, we said there could be a case of booing come the end of the month.
No, Daisy, you said there could be a case of booing, Daisy, thanks. The guys are nodding in the back. Daisy, you were trying to get folk to boo for some inane reason, and nobody took your bait, thankfully. Nonsense. Move on, Daisy, move on.
Could you please let me finish? And maybe turn your video off so I don't need to look at that massive cyst on the top of your forehead.
You've lost the battle.
If we're going to get personal. No, we did say there could be a case of booing by the end of the transfer window, because at the start of the month, we were still looking at maybe a couple of keepers in and maybe looking to conclude the Bernardo deal. So, Hector, I know you've been making lists on your WhatsApp. Do you want to cover what we've managed to do so far? And we've still got a few hours to go. We could have a few more potential.
So let's take a wee step back, right? So back to the opening game of the season, there was never any chance of booze. I get your point. Your point at the time was the frustration about the lack of signings. We all felt the same way, right? But in terms of Flag Day, no, not at that point. But yeah, we always felt that towards the end of the month, that if things hadn't progressed, frustration would build. And I think, and the thing is with Celtic, when we say Celtic, we mean the Celtic board, the guys that close the deals out or don't close the deals out. It's probably a more fit way of putting it, right? There's always that strong risk. And I actually think it came to its proper point last weekend. It was at the St Mirren game we played last Sunday. And after it, Rodgers did a really frank and open media conference about it. And you can see his frustrations, but his frustrations, he started laughing about things, about the board and about getting deals done. And his concern was, look, we've put a lot of pressure on ourselves, unnecessarily so, up to the last week. But a lot of this stuff, in his opinion, should have been quite straightforward to get done. Not all the deals, doesn't happen that quickly, but but certainly potentially bringing in 5 players today, guys. I mean, it is quite ridiculous, right? With the money being there. So, yeah, the frustration was building. More so when Martinelli got sold this week for 25 million plus. And you'd like to think you get a player in first before you sell him. And so, but it looks like we're going to get quite a lot of business done. But to go back to Roger's point, not you or the rest of us talking, the manager's point, look, got to be better than this. We've got to be getting deals done. Not all of them, but certainly some of them earlier. And I think all of us agree with that.
Yeah, Ralph, a line from Brendan during the week was, we don't need to manufacture our own stress when there's no need. I think that is exactly the root of our frustration, isn't it? And it's been growing over the years because we've never really had any need, but it's getting to the stage of Hector was always the person going on about the actual money increased in the bank. So again, Ralph, do you think we'll learn more lesson this window, or are we just going to be doing the same chat next year?
I hope so. I don't think it's down to the board, right, which will get me more criticism. Obviously, Rodgers kind of says, right, I want this player. But he will tell the board how much he thinks he's worth. So if he says X player is worth 10 million.
Ralph, we've just lost Ralph. So that player that was worth 10 million, Ralph just took a phone call for his work.
Well done, Desi, for muting him. Well done, mate. Well done.
So Ralph's just been told there's a corpse to pick up at the Stoke Mandeville.
I'm here in my van waiting on him to take it out of the fucking back.
Get the hearse out the driveway and head to the hospital, back entrance. Right, Ralph, so if Brendan said there's a player there, 10 million.
Jimmy Savile night out.
10 million.
No, you said it.
10 million. And the club
A
itself.
million bodies? Right, okay.
Is there not somebody in between that does the negotiations? Is there not somebody that goes out there and says, no, it's not working because the wee blue light's not on?
Daisy, can I ask you a question, right? And that I caught obviously Ralph, his signal was lost there, right? But within our WhatsApp chat and kicking it about, the thing, if we stick a step back for this, it appears to be that our chief executive, right, the silent man, we'll call him the silent man, right, Michael Nicholson, and the chief financial officer, Chris Mackay, are across every single deal that we are doing. Now, the CEO's got a business to run, a proper business to run. And yeah, he's in amongst every single deal that's being done. So you'd like to think, you look at the German football club model and probably some other countries where you've got a director of football or certainly someone that's in charge of recruitment. What's to stop us allocating them the budget, whatever that budget may be? If it's 5 million, if it's 15 million pound, it includes the transfer fees and it includes the wages. And that's the remit. You've got that amount to spend in total, and that's it, and go on with it. And it means they're not going to break any barriers, push into silly debt. There's a control round about it. But the CEO shouldn't be involved in every fucking transfer we're trying to do. That's just not right. It's not right.
Right, exactly right. So I'll put this point to Monty to discuss to evaluate. So exactly, Hector, they shouldn't even be in their scope, let alone being involved, because their scope's the board and the business and the running of the enterprise. There should be there should be a director of football or whatever terminology gets used, who's in charge of delegate. I'm not even saying they've got to do the negotiations. They're in charge of ensuring somebody's been delegated that task one way or the other, totally separate for the board members.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and there's a distinction there. I think Ralph was getting to it. Like, we talk about the board and we throw the senior management team into that same sort of bucket. So all the senior management team aren't on the board. If you were to take Nicholson's previous job as legal counsel, Nicholson would have been all over the contract, because that would have been his job. Here, someone will hand him a contract and say, make sure that's watertight, or make sure that our interests are protected in it. Similarly now with McKay, from a financial point of view, what's the payment schedule? Or if it's an inbound transfer, kind of maximize the cash in up front. But that's as far as the two of them should go. Other than, and I mentioned it in the WhatsApp, the fear of them getting caught being kind of amateur hour negotiators in among the big boys. Because I think a lot of Ange's deals were done easily, probably with a bit of bravado because they were small outlays. So the guys probably didn't have the same risk exposure or parameters to work to. I think the solution lies in exactly what you've outlined, and I think Hector pointed to as well. A director of football or someone appointed to negotiate football deals up to a tolerance level. Typically, here I've seen it done in corporations. You've got budgetary discretion up to a level, like everyone in a reasonably senior position will have. After that, it would typically go to a committee. And if it's of absolute significance, it will go to a board for approval. Now, Rodgers wants players in early, as every football manager does. Sometimes, as he said himself, the contracts aren't just, not us, to drive it. But I think a lot of it is self-inflicted in terms of us getting to the last day and a wee bit of a panic, Desi. And it is an easy fix. The club just needs to change its own parameters, I think, and from there it should be relatively easy.
Yes, right. So that's a perfect point. It should be relatively straightforward, as in makes total football sense, Ralph. Surely that does not equate with Celtic Football Club management at a board level.
Well, maybe that's what Rodgers was referring to.
No, Ralph. I don't know what Ralph's saying with his phone, folks, but he starts speaking. I'm not muting him. Hector's looking at me as if I'm muting him on purpose. I am not. Ralph, try again.
Right. If he says a guy's worth 10 million, the guy goes out to negotiate it, and he gets to a ceiling. If the other club says it's 12 million, the man doing the negotiation has to come back and get permission to go over that. And that might explain some of the delays and some of the hassle. But then the media gets hold of it, and Celtic won't play this and Celtic won't do that. It's not down to them, ultimately. And maybe that is what Rodgers was referring to when he said we need to improve the way we do deals.
Ralph, can I ask a question? Right?
Yeah.
I get your point. Totally get your point. The earlier point I was trying to raise was this, right? So the club would know right now we're in a really strong financial position. Right, things change. We know that. Let's go back a few years; it wasn't quite the same. But what my point is that a budget would be set, I'd imagine, before the summer window opens up, months before that, I'd imagine, right? But the budgets can be reset depending on incomings, potential additional incomings, or i.e. players like Mattarelli getting sold for 25 to 30 million. That can lead to an increase. But my point was this: if a budget was set, and say the budget, for talking sakes, £30 million. And that includes transfer fees and wages over a 3-year period. It gives that flexibility for those doing negotiations. Say, right, well, we think he's worth 6, you think he's worth 10, and there's that bit of brinkmanship negotiation, and it might lead to a middle ground of £8 million. It just feels with us, not every player, nobody's expecting every player to get done, but there's so many that's always the last minute with Celtic, and it's a consistent thing. It's not as if it's a one-off. It's year after year, or twice a year, because obviously the January window as well. And there's got to be a recurring theme here. The people involved, or the structure, or how it's set out, has to change. And I think Rodgers had mentioned that without mentioning names, right? It's like, come on, we've got a lot of money, Ralph. We've got that flex right now. Things should be quicker than up until, what are we just now, 8 o'clock at night, transfer deadline day, and yet we're still waiting for these guys to come through.
Yeah. There's probably more chance our hotel will get built and the museum will get built before they change the actual director stroke responsibility reporting lines. But I mean, like, one thing I was just thinking there, one thing that has improved is you have had no idea who Celtic are targeting until the actual first offer goes in. Mind, it used to be like leaks here, there and everywhere. That has really tightened up. But I was also thinking back to like when Ange came in, like the Asian signings, they were apparently Dom Mackay, they were all apparently like through Ange's agent. Was it Frank from Boli or whatever that guy's name was? So he's obviously, he knew the market, he knew how to negotiate with those clubs. So you'd actually experience there, whereby what experience, like Peter Lowell, or you might have experience, but your Mike Nicholson's, etc. They're just probably asking Peter for advice. So, so there we go, right? So hands up, who thinks it will actually change after this season? Do we think Brendan will actually tends to get a new football director style? Do you think we're going to actually see changes behind the scenes? Just a quick question, yes or no? Hector?
No.
Monty?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing now is the start of a new operating model, Desi. So yes, I think yeah.
Ralph?
Because he's alluded to it and said this is a problem, we need to sort it. We're maybe not knowing what the problem is, but I think they're kind of touching on the point that somebody else needs to do the negotiations.
Yeah, right. So again, let's wait and see. Maybe, who knows? Maybe a super agent will come in and take over the role. But that's a worry for another day. Looking forward, let's concentrate on the ins and outs, because the last month, everybody listening and everybody I knew their team and on the WhatsApp has constantly been, let's be honest, what the fuck's happening? Nothing's happening. Hector, you have been on the roller coaster of, I'm sure something's happening. I'm sure something will happen. Why is nothing happening? Nothing's fucking happening. Maybe something will happen. And it's just been up and down. And I think that echoes every Celtic fan, because we wake up in the morning and go, maybe tomorrow. The old Annie, the sun will come out tomorrow. But then the last week also...
The old Shireen Nanjiani days, is that what you said?
Exactly, Jim Delahunt. Jim Delahunt and Shireen Nanjiani for fans of the Electric Suit comic back in the day. Right, so then it all really wrapped up this last week, right? So we secured Bernardo, we actually secured Ida, so that was good. And then it really started to kick on. But let's concentrate on the major out first of all, Hector. Matt O'Reilly going, right? So I'm just going to, I'll give you 5 minutes, but I want you, everybody, sum up Matt O'Reilly in one word. For you, what would the one word be?
Who's the question for, Daisy?
Everybody, I'll start with you first, and I'll go down the board while Ralph puts the dog in the other room. One word.
For Matt O'Reilly, one word would be, that's difficult, because it's the on and off the field thing with him that I think needs encompassed here, right? I would say majestic on the field and majestic off the field, so I'll say majestic.
Oh, so again, right, so my word was gorgeous, right? Because he's just a beautiful footballer and a beautiful human being. And even today, there's been loads of things they've been sending around with his kind of hospital visits and stuff. Just a wonderful guy. What about you, Monty? I'm purposely leaving Ralph to the end here.
Oh, but we gathered that.
I think if you're trying to sum up O'Reilly and what he meant to Celtic, I think
no,
the word delivered.
One word, Monty. One
word.
Delivered.
Delivered? No, that's the finance. That's a finance operator, isn't it? Delivered.
Yeah. He delivered everything. Delivered 1.5 million converted to 30. Player of the year, young player of the year, Football Writers Player of the Year. This boy delivered on every angle you can imagine. Absolutely superb.
You're as well saying 20x. You know what I mean? As saying delivered. the number of things. Multiplier. 20x multiplier. Is that one word or is that two words? Right. And the reason I've left Ralph to the end is, Ralph, you don't seem to have been buying this sentimentality that all the Celtic family have for Matt O'Reilly in your diary. Has it just been a busy day at Undertakers to cause all that animosity this week?
The best thing he'd done was wait.
One word, Ralph. One word.
The guy was in for 2 years, right?
That's not one word.
Curmudgeon.
I was gutted. I wanted him to be flung into the Mersey. I wanted every gangster in Liverpool to beat him to death. O'Reilly's way to Brighton, so what? He was
Breaking news.
Who's it signed?
Celtic have just signed the guy, the defender Trusty from Sheffield United.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Just
Confirmed.
officially confirmed.
We've officially, folks, we now have officially a left-sided centre half, which was not Ginger and named Liam Scales. So at least that's a backup for Scales, at least. Yes. So Ralph, what was the matter with you? Are you having a bad week? What's the matter? How can you not love Matt O'Reilly?
Ashes that have lasted longer than 2 years. He was here, came up. He would. I tell you what, if he'd have stayed another 2 years, you'd have seen a class act, because he improved so much under Rodgers. Now he's not even went to a proper club. Never mind a big club.
Bollocks.
It's Brighton, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. Brighton, probably the best.
Desi, Ralph's entitled to his opinion. Let the man finish.
They're playing both. Right, that's it. So the guy took the first offer that came to him.
Oh, clearly, didn't he? What part of
6 from Atlanta?
What part of 5 offers for Atalanta do we know?
Right.
Desi, can I just jump in? I can see Ralph's point, right? I think O'Reilly's a brilliant player. I think majestic was my word I used for him on the field, off the field. He's 23-year-old. I think in the past year, his improvement under Rodgers, he's the one guy that did improve significantly, right? I think the goals scored was the top scorer last season. Was it 18 goals or something, which was incredible, right? You can just see the improvement in him. Ralph's point, I get it regards Brighton, going to Brighton, right? No, but I get what he's saying, because Champions League Celtic go to Brighton.
Right. I
can get that. I get it.
But see, I think you're doing Brighton a disservice there. Brighton currently hold the EPL transfer record. They sell players to Chelsea. They sell players to Arsenal. They sell players to big. Brighton are a perfect platform team for a player to go for a team like Celtic. You've got to realise our place in this ladder.
No, but I get it. No, we're not disputing that. But that was Brighton versus Southampton 5 years ago, right?
Exactly, right.
They were Van Dijk, the Fraser Forster, the Wanyama, right? But I think Ralph's point, we're about to get in this new expands Champions League with 8 teams in it now, right? And the draw, obviously, we wouldn't have known that. They get sold just for the draw, but irrespective, why not stay at Celtic for another season? Go through the Champions League.
But it's a similar aspect of saying, like, why would an Ange leave when you've got a chance to get into Europe?
I agree with you.
But because I think it's a great. He knows he can go to Brighton, have a really good season, stroke 2 seasons, and then we'll go to Liverpool, we'll go to Arsenal, we'll go to Man United, and any other team that could potentially win the Champions League.
He's not
going to get up to Celtic.
Or he might not. Or he might go to a Brighton manager that doesn't fit the system. He's left a system, a manager at Celtic who love him to bits, who build a team around about him. He's 23. No, but listen, the point is, I think he's fantastic. You heard what I said earlier on. But he's 23-year-old. I'd have thought, if I was in his shoes, his agent, at least see the Champions League out to January. I know it goes slightly beyond that this coming season up, right? You're still under contract. I'd have thought go and fucking encourage him to do that for 6-7 months, And remember, the guy's 23. We're all farts. It's funny, we're talking about these players if they're older than us, right? If this is your sons or nephews or whatever it may be, if you're 23, they're wee boys, they're young boys. And I don't quite blame the player, but I just think a bit of guidance. I'd have seen out this season, at least till January, the Champions League. Because the team playing so well, Desi, we're going to come to that. In fact, you mentioned a few minutes ago, with Calmac and Rio, and they look, it's possibly the best midfield 3 we've seen in many a day at Celtic the last, number of games. And I just feel as if sometimes they jump that little bit too early. If he's 26, 27, I get it. But
here's a question. Here's a question for you, right? Here's a question. You're Matt O'Reilly, and you looking at your point, your perspective. Think of Matt O'Reilly, thinking from your perspective, right? We've got the Champions League coming up. I'm looking forward to Champions League. I could maybe shine in this Champions League. How's the club preparing for this Champions League? And you've got 1 week of the transfer window to go, and your club's bought two keepers and 2 backups, kind of thing. You've no clearly strengthened the team to the way the manager wants. He's sitting looking at that going, well, wait a minute. I honestly think it's a perfect.
Desi, who tried to buy him in January?
Well, we believe Atletico Madrid try to buy him.
Well, they did. They put an offer.
So where were they there? Why were they not coming?
But you seem quite defensive towards Matt O'Reilly here, right? I'm just putting different options on the table here, right?
No,
I think he's a fabulous player.
I think you both are underestimating the value of going to a club like Brighton and shining at Brighton. Brighton's a level far above Celtic, regardless of the Champions League.
No.
Of course they are.
Desi, you sold your soul to the EPL.
Right, so when do we sell players to big teams? When do we sell players to big teams?
Bayer Leverkusen.
They won a big team.
Here we go,
Come
Desi,
on, Ralph. Fuck's sake, come on.
Desi.
Listen, ask yourself when's the last time we sold somebody to a big team?
Madrid in January, we knocked it back, didn't we?
No, but you're answering my question by no answering it. When do we sell players to big teams?
We knocked a team back 6 months ago.
The whole point is you never sold the when do we sell them? This is what I'm saying. So you can't just say we got an offer but we never took it. What I'm trying to say is when do we sell players to big teams? We don't do it. Brighton do it. And that's why he went to Brighton.
He had a chance of going to Atletico Madrid. He had a chance of going to Atalanta, another Champions League team. And he went to Brighton.
Yep. But I think it's a perfectly sensible choice.
Did Atalanta win the Europa League, Desi?
Aye, but I don't know why I don't understand. What I'm trying to point out is I don't understand why you're questioning Brighton as a team for a player to go to and then move on.
I don't understand why you're being so defensive about Matt O'Reilly and Brighton.
I'm not, because I think it's a perfectly good move for Matt O'Reilly.
You sound like a Brighton fan, Desi.
Listen, Brighton's a lovely place. A lovely place, Brighton. I've been there quite a few times.
So have I, Desi.
Monty, let's go to Monty and ask Monty's perception of this. What do you think?
I think you're missing the part of the model, Desi, if I'm honest, that we sell to whoever comes in with an interest for our players at the appropriate price. And I think for the top level teams, Atletico Madrid, and I would include Atalanta as exceptions because O'Reilly was an exception. I think they want to see a player coming out of the Scottish League proven in their league. There's an arrogance about it, Desi. Roger's comments about you pay for the player, not the league, are kind of refreshing because Van Dijk arguably should have went to a top 4, top 6 team in England. But he went to Southampton first because that's the next step after Celtic into England. Similarly, Frimpong to Leverkusen. I take your point. Leverkusen aren't Munich or Dortmund, but they've just gone a season completely unbeaten, and Frimpong has been a key component of it. And he will now move on to Barcelona, reputedly, for 60 million or someone similar, and we'll make a fortune out of that. So I think our reality, Desi, is we sell the tier 2 teams. Because that people come and buy a player out of the Scottish League. The Huns, similarly, any version of them, never sold a player to a top level team. You know, you could argue maybe fucking did Souness leave the Huns and go somewhere? It was the other way about. He came to them. I'm trying to remember a player from the other side in either version of Rangers that got sold to a top level team either. It's just our reality, Desi, I think.
Mm-hmm. So Matt O'Reilly goes to Brighton. We get 25 million, a new record again, strange one to do with add-ons, which apparently includes appearances, Hector. And sure enough, for his first game, he gets hacked in with that arsehole fake volley. So hopefully we wish him a quick recovery, Matt, a quick recovery. But 25 million comes into the bank. We immediately go in the attack and start looking at deals. And sensationally, Hector, we actually bring in a left back. And apologies for my pronunciations, I'm just going to say Alex Val, and I know I made the joke on Twitter about the pronunciation wars will start.
Well, you get dogs abuse for that, Desi. Dogs abuse for that.
But then the whole point was I made a wee joke about how it could be pronounced as an
the attack chain.
And then people came back with, you don't pronounce the V. The V's actually a B. You know what I mean? And I was like,
But if that was me, you know me, right? I'd have went, who gives a fuck? Fucking shut up. You know
so
what I mean?
Alex, our new left back, Alex,
Aye.
for Barcelona, Hector.
The thing is, Desi, we don't. I've never seen the guy play other than the wee bit of footage on YouTube, whatever. So, but the fact he's came through Barcelona means there's got to be a level of, you know, technical competency that's really good. The fact he played all last season in Division 2, really, of the Spanish League, the fact that Barcelona didn't want to sell him, based upon the footage I've seen, the physicality of him, was he about 5'11", he's got lots of pace, obviously he's got a very strong technical left foot. We needed somebody else in. Greg Taylor's done a really good job, but things that Greg Taylor lacks are physicality and lots of pace. What Greg Taylor has in abundance is football intelligence. So, and also you always need competition. Every single position needs competition for places for two reasons. Well, more than two, but two in particular. One is that by having a second, it pushes you to play better, get better, to keep your place. And two, suspensions, you know, injuries, whatever it may be, you need that other person to step in. So that was really good news. And that was like Sunday night, wasn't it? Out of the blue on Sunday night, that was mooted, that view. So, yeah, it sounds good in paper, but obviously we haven't seen enough of the guy to know how good he is. But fingers crossed, he's previous, who he's academy, etc., he's a good level. I'm sure he will.
Do we assume he'll be on the bench for Sunday?
You'd like to hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll wait and see. I was going to go to Ralph next, but he appears to have buggered off. So we'll come to Monty. Austin. So we're just talking about Austin Trusty from Sheffield United, left-sided centre back, US. So again, has that got a US partnership in the centre of the defence, Monty, to look forward to?
I think for the money we've spent on Engels and Trusty, Ida, and even Bernardo, you're not spending that level of money not to play them, Desi. So I suspect, you know, it's on scales now not to make a mistake, and the first mistake he makes, he's going to lose his place. Which is probably harsh, but it's the way of the modern professional footballer. Who do you drop for Engels? So
that's what I was going to ask. That was my next question for Hector.
I'll just say, in terms of the guy Trusty, just a wee bit of digging on the guy and read up about him. Quite an interesting background, obviously from the States then. But Arsenal signed him. Was about 3 years ago. So for Arsenal to sign him, one thing Arsenal's renowned for is a really good recruitment and scouting and knowing their players. So he's obviously ticks a lot of boxes in terms of probably technicalities, technically for them to go from. Then he went to Birmingham, a season on loan, and he was their player of the year at Birmingham 2 years ago when they were in the Championship, right? Then Sheffield United bought him for £5 million. They get promoted to the EPL the previous season, last season. They paid $5 million for him, went to them. They had one of the worst defensive records in the EPL, but the whole team were pretty shit.
Conceded 104 goals.
Aye, exactly. The whole team are dreadful. So what I would say with that is that if you look at it step by step, he's got ability to get to Arsenal from the US, to be the player at Birmingham. Then obviously at Sheffield, it was a shit fest last season. So, but look at Carter Vickers before he came to Celtic. He's been out on loan about 4 or 5 times. Yep. And a lot of the clubs he went on loan to, including Sheffield United and Bournemouth amongst teams, wasn't impressive. It's pretty shit. No, the right Spurs fans were saying it's shit. Comes to us, he's been dynamite. So I'm just hoping history repeats itself with this boy Trusty when he comes to Celtic. You know, plays with us.
Yeah, sorry, Monty, I'll come back to you in a second. Let me come back to you. I'll bring it back round into Engels in a second. But Ralph, just to get your thoughts on the centre half. So I was having this discussion today. Is it maybe even the concept that he's a ball carrying centre half that we're needing? They're actually looking for him to bring the ball out, similar that Scales is forced to at the moment, whereby maybe that's not his job at Sheffield United, is to clear your lines and be a big hard man centre half, which he isn't perhaps.
Well, the first thing about defence is it needs to work as a unit. Everybody needs to know where everybody else is. Everybody needs to know what everybody else can do. So that if you're taking a high ball, you need to know where to let it off. You need to know where to send it. Which I'm just going to chuck in. Greg Taylor hasn't signed a new contract yet. As far as we know, he's been offered one. Which means he's kind of surplus to requirements.
Who, Greg Taylor?
Yeah, that's kind of concerning. Maybe he's just said, "Look, I want away. I'm sick of getting the blame for everything."
I think it's a case. Well, I think it's a case that he just get married, and he's looking for a bit of recognition, as in a bit of stability. And I've been solid. He's no spectacular. He's been solid. Does his best. All right, he's a bit short in the arse, but he does his best. And he's a good player in the Celtic SPFL. So I think he deserves a recognisable contract.
He's never let us down, and I can't figure out why we've not made sure he's secure for the next few years.
It could be a case. I have felt that muted. It could be a case of this is one that the club's put in the back boiler. Like, remember James Forrest for a while? You were. I know you had contact there, and it was, we'll get back to you, and you kept thinking, when's this going to happen? And eventually it did happen. So maybe a little bit taking it for granted or scheduled now to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? But it would be nice to get it put to bed, especially when the money's there. There's no excuse. The money's there to give him a bung, let's be honest.
So maybe it's me worrying about something that there's nothing to
I'm
worry
the same.
about.
I've been advocating for his new contract too.
To get back to the centre half thing, we need two guys that can work with each other. When one of them, let's say, when one goes up for the high ball, the other one covers. When somebody puts in a challenge, the other one's behind them. I don't know where we get trusted from. I don't know where the idea came to get him. But if Carter Vickers reckons that's a guy he can work with, then that's a good move. And to get a centre half for that kind of money, with the pedigree that he has, which has not necessarily been recent. But if Arsenal were after him and they know a thing or two about defenders, we could have bought a watch here or won a watch or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah. So I think it is. It's a little bit of maybe a calculated risk, put that way. The Sheffield United fans didn't seem that bothered. The manager, Chris Wilder, said the replacement's already there. But hopefully he'll do a job for us. So that brings me back to you, Monty. We're talking there about Engels. So we're on to our new Belgian wonder kid. The format I had saw today regards the squad, they were suggesting that Engels would be a standalone and it would be Hatate stroke Bernardo backing each other up. So it would be Engels and possibly like a home. Maybe Engels would be your starter and then it would be up to Hatate or Bernardo to fight out the open space next to McGregor. So that'd be interesting to see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So Engels then. So
yeah, because he's clearly going to start.
Oh, sorry. Is that a welcome change of direction and actually stepping up to the plate by the Celtic board for Brendan's demands, you think?
Well, I think just purely on the money, Desi, yes. I mind all those years ago, Hector and I, and possibly even yourself, down Merchant Square, talking about Bankovic and the hope that was us getting to the 9 million, 10 million pound bracket, and that's the type of players we were going to sign. It took us a few years, but it does feel like that's where we are now, Desi. I think he starts, full stop. And, I got to be honest, I know nothing about him. Knew nothing about him until we were linked with him. So it's a huge backing for the manager's judgment of the player. He'll not be here any more than 2 years, arguably 3. Like he's not here to stay here. He's here to do effectively, essentially what O'Reilly did. But he starts. I'm surprised that Hatate, that bid that supposedly came in for Hatate. I get a sense that Engels is here to replace Hatate. That Bernardo is there as that fourth midfielder, and we have to find an alternative or a backup for Riley leaving. And that young fella was at Sanchez from the Swiss team, which doesn't look like it's going to go ahead now. I thought maybe that was the case. So I'd say we'd probably see Hatate moving on in January. Going to stick to the model. maybe we go back for Sanchez or Barber. But being a great Mondesi, and we've got great options now in midfield. We've got 6 really, really good midfielders, arguably. So, I like home. Maybe he's just a bit lightweight. Maybe he just hasn't said. I think he's a great player.
Yeah. So, Hector, thinking of the midfield, right? So looking at the squad, right? Quick look at the squad. We have, where am I? One spare with me. It's Michael and Sidney Salah, and then Bain is our token Scotsman in the goal. Johnston and Ralston right back, CCT and Welsh, and then I've got a long dotted line to Naroki. Don't know if he's on loan yet. But then we've got Trusty and Scales, Taylor and Valley, apologies for the pronunciation. So then, as I say, we've got McGregor, Turley. I know Ralph's a big fan, so fingers crossed the boy can get his chance as we move through the seasons. And then I've got an AN over, possibly McCowan.
Yep.
I
think that's pretty much a done deal, Desi, tonight, yeah.
So then I've got...
We're in a bidding war with Hibernian.
Yes.
No one know, Ralph. It's no.
So I think it'll be a case of Dundee saying this guy's the cash and sell it. We'll try to get it in instalments or some nonsense. But I'm just going, there's $1 million. Thanks very much. Send them down the road. Then we've got Engels stroke home or A and other. So again, we've still got 2.5 hours of the window to go. So who knows? Hatate Bernardo. Then we've got Coon Forest. I don't know if there's talk of Yang possibly going away. I don't know if that's going to be a late loan deal. Maeda and Palmer, so they'd knock back, Hector, they'd knock back approaches from
Palmer, yeah.
Palmer seemed a bit of a surprise. Actually,
I think we're a bit light, Desi. I think we're a bit light in a couple of areas. What worries me, I know we've just signed a centre half from Sheffield United, but look at the backups there. Right, the Rocky's always injured. We've let 2 go. Lagabielka's away in loan, and is it Kobayashi's away to the Portuguese league? Welsh, at best a fourth. The guy. Listen, the guy he gives his best. He plays okay a lot of games, but he's injured a lot as well. I'd like as somebody of a really good level that's pushing Carter Vickers for a start. Another quality centre back. I think both full-back areas were pretty good. I think we've improved at the goalkeeping area, which is really good. I think we're missing experienced number 6, a proper experienced guy in there. We've got a lot of young players. Bernardo, Engels just signed. I'd like to see an experienced guy in there, possibly on loan before the window shuts for down south. And we're lacking, I think, a wee bit up front. I know Brendan said last week that Maeda is probably the third striker, and I get it. He did say 2 weeks before that, or a month before that, was it Vata was the third striker?
Yeah, he's got to be a youth. He's got to be youth.
And like Daniel Kelly was in midfield, wasn't he going to be that other kind of player? And I get it, things change. So I'd like to see us bringing in another couple tonight. McCowan, I think, will do a good job domestically for us. Maybe half dozen games, 8 games a season. He can make a wee break. But windows, there must be clubs in England just now. The squads are so bloated that we could get 1 or 2 players in on loan, experienced players in for the Champions League in particular to help us out. So I'm cautiously optimistic we might get 1 or 2 in to help us out.
Yeah, and again, Monty, is that domino effect. Like, even I noticed the Celtic pay 11 million stroke 13 million euros to Augsburg for Engels, and apparently within an hour there was 2 Augsburg signings, 2 people heading to another way, saying money in, money out kind of idea. And the same thing seems to have happened. Celtic with O'Reilly, money in, money out, and then that trick was down. And I saw a tweet saying someone looked to send out a bunch of youths on loan, not that way, so it's all kind of rippling down. So it will be interesting. But let's just take it back to Engels. To Engels, Monty, as in significant investment in a youth player, as in we all thought it would be investment in experience. Even Bernardo's got a touch of experience, but Engels is your kind of, not a rough diamond, but a diamond in the rough, coming for it, like, just got his first Belgian cap call tonight, and again, by all accounts, major promising talent, which is quite a step for us to take. I mean, we tend to go for the million.
It's like the Edward. Yeah, it's like the Edward deal, Desi. that talent was obviously there, and we're prepared to back it. Well, we talked about this, I think, even on the WhatsApp group, that the risk profile of this signing is infinitely more great than like Hatate or Iwata or anything like that. But it's clear that he's going to work in turn. If he is injury free, he's obviously got all the attributes. He's got now a season of experience in the Bundesliga. Is Lambert the last player we signed from the Bundesliga with actual pedigree? You can't count Marvin Comper now. But is Lambert the last sort of top level performing Bundesliga player we signed? I think he was. Jens. No, we sold him to the Bundesliga. He came from France, I think. Ralph. So yeah, Desi, I think it's a great development. I hope, and I'm confident now that this is. Remember we talked last year about Rodgers winning the political battle internally for recruitment.
Yeah.
I think this is the start of a new model. By the way, I have a funny feeling Rodgers will sign an extension to his contract. Stay 5 years. I just have a feeling. If all of this fits in place with the narrative, you'll see that maybe happening at some stage through the season. He'll sign on for another 2 years.
To expand on the point you made there about the new model, if we used to get kids into England that would come in and come through, O'Reilly being the prime example. If we're getting kids from lower German or maybe French teams that come in with the same aim, to go to the English league and make a lot of money and get your ankle broken within 10 minutes, whatever, doesn't matter. If we get them for a couple of years, it gets more and more looking at us as, all right, it's a stepping stone. But every now and again, one or two of them gets it properly. One or two of them stay. Your Larsons, your Moravchik that says, hey, I tell you what, they were a gift to me. Just maybe down the line. And if you've what you would call an elite coach, Rodgers, that's kind of bringing them on as well, we've got a lot to look forward to. This is why I wasn't panicking all the way through when people's throwing the toys out the pram and, oh, look at that, we're not signing this, we're not signing that. I kind of consoled myself with the fact we'll look better anyway. But now we've got players in as well. The best of both worlds. That's why
Right. So, okay then, Ralph, here's the last question on the window for now, and again, Hector's keeping an eye on the window if anything pops up.
I'm looking at my window now, Desi. It's getting dark outside.
I did notice that our last £9 million, our last major signing, Big Edward, he's away to Leicester tonight. He's just away to Leicester on loan from Crystal Palace, so he's just signed for Leicester. So, Ralph, this transfer window, good, bad, or indifferent? What do you think? What's your thoughts?
We're playing, whatever they're called, on Sunday. There's no reason whatsoever to bring in anybody we just signed into that team to make a difference. And I think, looking at it from that point of view, that makes it a majorly successful transfer window. We don't, we're not looking for another midfielder, another striker. We've already got them. And we're playing, arguably, which is going to be a kind of season-defining game. Because if they get beat, they're out of it. And if Aberdeen win at the weekend as well, they've really got issues. And they're apparently our main rivals. We win that game without using anybody out of the 30 or so £million we just spent. That is going to send a major message to the rest of Scottish football.
Okay. Hector, what's your thoughts?
Great. I get Ralph's. Actually, Ralph made some really good points there. I would see it in addition to what he said. A couple of things Rodgers said over the last few months, and I think most of us would agree with that. The first thing is you always want to come out at the end of the previous season into the next season stronger. Mm-hmm. Now, that's still a question mark because you think about it up until tonight, will Valley come in on loan on Tuesday, Wednesday? We don't know how good or indifferent he is. The guys that are just signing tonight, we don't know how good they're going to be. So there's a question mark there. but these guys have been signed earlier, in my opinion. But number two, our benchmark's got to be higher. Let's get back to the Martin O'Neill about it's got to be higher.
Slowly.
Because we have got a massive advantage over every club in Scottish football, including Rangers. That was never the case. I know they cheated this and cheated that. It doesn't matter. But right now, we've got such a massive advantage in everything we do that we've got to be doing better in Europe. And I think as a fan, that's our aspiration. It's, getting to the Champions League, and nobody's saying we're going to win it, but at least we get a good account of ourselves. Let's improve every year. We've got some cash there, spend it, reinvest, make the team better, make ourselves competitive. We're hard to beat. We can beat some teams, maybe get to the knockout round, get you to the last 16, and then who knows? Because if we keep the model and get the model right, you're going to get that 1 or 2 seasons that Ajax have had and Benfica's had where you can get a good run at it and get to the quarters, get to the semis. And that's your aspiration. And who knows what the future holds? But that's what it should be.
Sorry, Hector. Kind of cut in there. I didn't mean to. I was going to say, I think I mentioned it in the WhatsApp that for us to evolve now, we need to become Ajax first before becoming Benfica. And what I meant by that was like Ajax will sign players at 14 million, 16 million. And we'll do that every season. But what they're doing is they're spinning them up. And Desi, to your earlier point, they're selling them to the top tier teams. We've got to grow into that role of buying players 8, 10, 12 million and then selling them repeatedly for 20, 25, 30 to get into that bracket. But to Hector's point, we just need one really, really good batch in 1 year and get a run to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And that probably is the height of where a top-tier coach could take it, given the domestic environment. Yeah, but it should be our ambition. And that's why I do believe that's what we're seeing.
But Desi, one thing, just to come in, I can just imagine somebody listens to this, our listener listens, goes, it's been shite for the last fucking 12 months in Benfica. But the thing about it is it's not over 1 season. Look at it's a pattern over 5 seasons or 10 seasons. Look at it over 5 or 10 seasons, right? And, there's going to be, I think next season, we'll get to the playoffs of the Champions League. And there's a strong chance that we might not get to the Champions League. Then we go to Europa League. And that'll be really tough, looking at the Huns draw for that. There's probably a better chance of getting further. Probably a better chance of getting further in that and doing really well. But irrespective, I think we've just got to just get better at everything we do incrementally. Just do it better every year. We've got the money there, support's there, the stadium's there. Keep doing it, the coach is there. And who knows, next 2, 3, 5 years, how far we can take it. And that's all we can try and do, I think.
Yeah, I do think this to be the Mr. Doom and Gloom. There's a sense of relativity. It's all relative. Again, Holland's get deeper in 100 million a year TV money. We're looking at 20 million. These sort of things. We're still a level below them. So again, it's good to aspire to get up to that level, but we are way down that.
But Desi, our money we bring through domestically, regards the season tickets and all that. We're a big up in name.
How many? Yeah, exactly. But how many times are we going to? And this is us talking. We keep talking about there's that money there. There's money there. We've got to go for it. And then, so far as we can tell, we've spent the Matt O'Reilly money.
We've got £100 million, Desi, right?
Asking the same question in the board to actually make that, and hopefully this is a start of it. Hopefully Engels is a start of it, actual long-term investment with a vision. Sorry.
Right. Desi, can I just on that point, and this is the challenge, just on to round out the Ajax piece. Just as we were talking, Ajax's revenue, and let me just get this. Where did it go? Ajax's revenue last season was 196 million euro. Our revenues last season were 105 million sterling, if I'm not mistaken, or 110 maybe. So there's about a 50 or 60 million gap in terms of us getting to the Ajax level of turnover. Ajax's soccer-related revenue was approximately 48 million. Now, I think what it means by that is season tickets, etc. I have a funny feeling ours is probably about 10 or 20 million more than that. So all of Palace, their TV income, by the way, decreased from 74 million to 56 million euro. They got 56 million euro 2022-23 for TV money. What did we get, including Champions League pot? About 10. So that's where the delta is, Desi. If we can do that with trading, if we can get really, really good in the trading model, there's no reason why we can't get there. But it's a big, big gap.
Yeah, right. So again, I know it's apples and oranges, but again, the last 10 years, Ajax have won the league 4 times. Would we be happy with even say a 64 return, win the league 6 times out of the 10, and Rangers win it 4, so to speak? Or are we assuming that we're always going to? I know, but I'm trying to get that kind of. So they have peaks and troughs. The troughs may not be that low, and the peaks always seem to be glorified. I think, as in they have a great season, and everybody watches them in the Champions League and go, "That's amazing how they do it." But behind the scenes, there's also these dips when they keep having to sell a couple of players to maximise the profit, which is the whole point of that model that we want to emulate. You know what I mean? But would we be happy to accept you're going to lose the league a couple of times following this model?
But that's exactly what Monty was saying. They've just taken a 21 million euro downturn in income. So that means they have to adjust accordingly.
But that's Lawwell's argument. That's Lawwell's argument that you'll not qualify for the Champions League every year.
But did you remember, right? Actually, Ralph, but Ajax have got PSV and Feyenoord, who, unlike us in Scotland, let's be blunt about it, our historical and right now closest rival are in shit street and will be for a long time. Whereas Ajax, aren't they? They're up against Feyenoord and PSV, who are well-run clubs with a lot of money. So it's not quite apples with apples here. It's quite.
That's exactly what I said. It's apple. I know it's not the same, but I'm saying, but comparative, would you be happy to say, right, we're willing to accept we're not going to win the league, i.e. sell it? I think the board perspective will be our priority is win the league and then hope to get into the Champions League. Whereas us as fans are hoping, no, we want to ensure we get into the Champions League and then we want to challenge. It could be on the last 16. We're not dreaming of winning these things. We're just talking about actually making a consistent challenge. And I'm not arguing again. I'm arguing.
No, but I think we are kind of unique in a way. Sorry, Ralph, but what I mean is this: look at Portugal. We mentioned Benfica. Mm-hmm. You look at Portugal. Benfica's up against Sporting and Porto, who are again selling players for a ridiculous amount of money. Their models are possibly better than Ajax's, right? So if Benfica are on their game, they'll lose to a good, well-run club. Ajax, if they're not on their game, will lose to a well-run club in either PSV or Feyenoord. Here, if we're not on our game, we can still win the league because we're up against a shitfest or the City, who are so much trouble. What I'm getting is that it's very different. I get your point, Desi, in terms of debate and all that, but I don't think it's a 60-40. I think unless they change radically, it's almost an 80-20, 90-10 until they get massive investment at their club.
And between the 4 of us, we've hit on why we are putting money in the bank and leaving it there. It's because we don't have what Ajax have, we don't have what Benfica have. We need to stand by ourselves. So we've got that reserve in the bank so that when they fall apart, and they will, we don't need to count on them this time. I hate to say it, but our port are actually quite good at what they do. Having had this discussion here now and hearing what you're saying, we've put that money away because they're going to fall apart again, and we need to have that money in the bank so we can still compete at the higher level. And there you are.
Yeah, right. So we'll move on for this. The rainy day argument, especially with the whole COVID experience, etc., and other things in Rangers the first time, we can appreciate that. But I think we also think they're taking risk averse to extreme levels at times. So we'll wait and see. And can I just say to folk listening to this, you do not have to experience what I have to experience, which is like something out of a horror movie. Because Hector, Ralph, and Monty are all sitting in the dark and all I can see is the occasional whites of their eyes and their teeth every now and again. So it's like a wee bit of a horror movie, like the Lord.
Ralph's white heat.
And the worst thing is, Monty just leaned right into the camera there out the darkness, which was really frightening. So yeah.
I need the torch on the machine. I'm the leprechaun. That fucking movie.
No offence, Desi.
More scary than Peter Lawwell seeing the bank statement in the morning. Let's put it that way. Right, so...
Can I just pick up on Ralph, hold on, Desi. Ralph says the board. No, get the fuck, Ralph. They're miserable fucks. Right? Ralph, you're a good guy, but they are risk-averse, miserable cunts, right, who have no ambition. But on that positive note, Desi, back to you. Sorry.
Right, yeah, right. So that was a window. That was a window so far. Well, we've got 2 hours to go. Hopefully, we'll get at least one midfielder in and possibly a surprise, but you never know. Right. So the Champions League draw. Ralph, did you actually watch it? Or were you at the pallbearers?
No, I'll tell you what.
If you never saw it, I'll move on. Tell me if you saw it or no. Yes or no.
No.
Right, okay. Hector, did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
Right, excellent. Right, so I'll come to you. So, yes, did you enjoy the new format? Was it exciting, apart from the Buffon and the Ronaldo?
Oh, God almighty. But apart from that, right, I'm glad you said that. I was going to say, that was shite. But do you know what? I actually thought it was all right.
Exactly.
I thought this is going to be shite. You can't help yourself. This will be shite. And I watched it. I thought, right, over to you, Cristiano. Press the button. Think, up it came. Then you're going. At first of us going, right, wait a minute, does that mean we've got all the 8 teams? And I knew the answer myself. I knew the answer. But now you're that used to seeing them all, that means that's your group. And you're going, no, that's not your group. That's that team's teams. Then you go, right, who we go? And you're going, right, we'll get them, we'll get Dortmund. We'll get, right, okay. Then pot 2. Then it came to us. So actually, I hate to say it, as a Luddite, I thought it was actually quite good.
Yep, I would agree. Again, it was classic. People were putting up, how does this work? And I was saying things like you need 2 pairs and an ace high to progress to the next round. And then, as you say, they kept putting up random teams, and you're going, wait a minute, is that the draw? No, this is the teams you can get. And then they say, well, we know the other 4 teams they have to get now. And so again, Monty, did you see it, or did you just see the result of the actual draw?
No, I watched it. I kind of had an absolute cringe when your guy tried to tee up the Buffon and Ronaldo bit of banter, and Buffon really didn't understand what he said. It was just, oh dear. But format, great. I loved it. I had the similar sort of, hold on a minute, does that mean that Hector just talked about? But it was actually relatively exciting, because you're kind of just watching to see after, the next 8 teams get sort of pulled. So, hey, we'll see, but some cracking games there, Desi, that are just one-offs. Yeah. Even outside of us, like Real Madrid going to Anfield on a one-off, I think. Even us to go away to Dortmund. I think that's going to be a fantastic game of football. And it's a free hit. A free hit at them, so yeah, all good.
Yep. Right, so Ralph, I just wanted to confirm, because there's a new format, again, before it was just going to be tarting it up, but I think it does throw some genuine fresh interest into the tournament, because it was very stale. Chances are we'll get to January, Ralph, and it will be the same 95% of the big teams in it, but at least it has rejuvenated it a little. Do you think?
Sure, because of the way it works. You have a tough night, it could cost you. Mm-hmm. And that's it's all about. I looked at the draw and I thought, right, so that's who's in our group. And then something else came up, and it was like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Dortmund, Celtic. And I went, wait a minute, how's that happened? I thought it was this one. It took me 2 hours to figure out who we were playing.
Well, exactly. Again, even like to be fair to them, the UEFA's website, I'd sent a link on their WhatsApp to it. They had a really good bit, and it was like kind of results, and it was every team, and then their 8 teams, because again, you just assumed it was going to be the standard group. So not when you saw a group, you'd see like you just say Barcelona, Liverpool, whatever, and you go right, and then you go no, that's one team's individual opponents, and that. Try to get your brain around that was quite.
I think what it does do, Desi, it actually means that every game matters now. Mm-hmm. See, because it's like 1 to 36. So the first 8 they're through at the last 16.
Yep.
But it's a bracket. So if you're a Madrid or, for talk's sake, Bayern Munich, you want to finish as high up as you can. Not just winning your group. You want to be the number 1 seed, because in essence that means you're playing potentially against the 16th best team when it comes to the last 16. So every game matters, and more so because if you're known the top 8, which is the bulk of the teams, you're fighting from 9th to 24th.
Yep.
So like to Celtic, we're going, right, okay, okay, highly likely we'll be the top 8. Can we get in the top 24 and give yourself a chance? Then you're going to come to the group who we got in a wee minute. And you go, well, look at that. You're going, aye, we've got a fucking chance to get in there. This is a big chance to get there. But we'll come to that in a minute, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And, also on that, sorry, Monty, I'm just coming to you. Monty, one other aspect was the removal of your safety net for the big boys dropping into the sub-tournament, so to speak. That's a way on now. So as Hector says...
And I think, that totally echoes what Hector just said, Desi, that, every game, you could be going into the last game, which could have been a dead rubber in the previous format, and depending on results going for or against you, you're either staying in the competition or you're dropping out. And that applies to the big boys. Equally, it applies to them going straight through and getting a week or 2 weeks off, or them having to play another Jeopardy knockout. And for us, 10 points might get us into the last 24. And 10 points is what, 3 wins and a draw out of 8 games. Is that beyond us? I don't think so, based on the draw, Desi, which I know we're going to talk about now. It gives proper jeopardy, I think, the whole way through the tournament.
Okay, Ralph, I'm coming to you now. Fortress Paradise, you've been calling on it for years. Turn off the hot water, etc., etc. Turn off the lights in the Celtic way. So Leipzig at home, Dortmund away, Bruges at home, Atalanta away, Young Boys at home, GNK Dynamo away, Bratislava at home, and then Villa away. I don't know what the schedule will be. But what do you think of the draw itself, Ralph? Are you confident we can make at least within the top 24?
Just that question, can we make the top 24? It's kind of ridiculous. We're in a situation where the league format is actually cup football. Just the fact that we found the draw kind of interesting means that the games themselves could well be exciting. All right, we've even given the mighty Rangers a chance to have a joke at our expense with one draw, and that'll be the highlight of the European season. For us, the big game is Dortmund away. As you know, my boy.
Well, you went quiet again, Ralph.
Right. The big game for us is Dortmund away. That's the other bucket list football ground that you want to go to.
Is your son getting his tickets for that game, Rolf? Aye.
I'm still trying to talk him into letting me stay. He stays a bit away for that.
Right. So that's us guaranteed. Folks, if you're listening to the podcast, no, you can't get Ralph's number. Right.
More chance of getting Oasis tickets.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Now you've just destroyed the podcast. 2 guys from Manchester with 3 calls between them. Goodness gracious me. Right, Dortmund away. But it's not that. It's I thought, how are Celtic going to sell 4 home games when we're probably out of the tournament after 2? It's not like that. And your man Moravchik67 put on Twitter how it all works. Every game counts. Even through to the end, and like Monty just says, can we do 3 wins and a draw? Probably not. We just need to make it hostile again.
By the way, Ralph, it was on. Somebody had asked, these fucking nerds who are super clever, right? About based upon the 36 games to be in the top 24, how many points would guarantee you top 24? And they reckon as an absolute, even a minimum, they reckon 7 points. So 2 wins and a draw out of 8 games would get you through the last 24. If you look at our group, let's be blunt, with the home games, the away games are the away games, we know that, right? The home games, we should be looking for at least 7 points with the home games. I'd have thought at least 2 wins out the home games and a draw, if no more. We've got a great chance. Let's not pussyfoot about. We've got the best draw we've got in a long time.
Oh,
We've got a really good chance.
You know, at pot 3, Leon, their draw's a nightmare. I'll put that on the diary tomorrow. That draw is horrible. And that could have been us. And what we've got is a couple of decent trips, if you don't count Birmingham, and a few good home games. We have a chance of getting further than we have done for several years.
So, Monty,
I also think too, just to come in on that if I can, Desi. Yeah, Hector pointed it out on our WhatsApp group, Desi, and it was bang on the money. Just because they're not the big glamorous names, the Europa League winners are in there. 2 beaten semi-finalists in European competition are in there, and the beaten finalist in the Champions League is in our group. So, Bruges aren't exactly all that. Atlanta aren't exactly all that when it comes to glamour, but they're fucking teams who know how to play European football. So I think it's a brilliant challenge because you're not going in feeling that you're horsed already because it's Madrid, either version of, or it's a big EPL team. Villa, I actually think Villa will be the hardest game we'll have because I think Emery's just a fucking top coach. So we're going into it, Desi, with optimism, but I think just because it'd be very important for people not to get lost in because it's not the top names. Somehow we're going to, we're going to stroll it. Are we fuck? But I think it's good, Desi, and if it's our level and we can get there with Rodgers with this squad that he's now built, even just to get punching at that weight and proving ourselves, I think would be wonderful. So I'm quietly confident, Desi, and I do think 7 points, yes. I think we could get 10 points. I really do.
Well, Desi, you amongst us, Desi, you're the most optimistic of the 4 of us when it comes to Celtic. What's your thoughts on the draw, Desi?
I have 1 goal. I was speaking to my friend in work today who's a Kilmarnock fan, and he was asking, blah, 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 how you feeling? And I went, I've got 1 goal for this Champions League this season to be unbeaten at home. I don't ask to win every game at home, just be unbeaten at home. And I think that would be us laying on our foundation and taking another step forward because we've been here, there and everywhere in the last few years. So I'm not asking for much. I think the home opponents are beatable, but I would not be upset if, say, we get 5 points or 6, 7 points. We don't need to beat everybody at home, but I think there's a good chance I think that we could make progress and grow in confidence. I think we could maybe surprise a few teams away, but let's be honest, Celtic have got a habit of shooting ourselves in the foot. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. And we touched upon this earlier before we came on air. Silly wee suspensions and stuff. These sort of things that happen in Europe for us. So hopefully that doesn't happen either. So again, just don't get beat at home, and that would be a good campaign for me. So there you go. I'm not asking.
Again.
So well, again, if we progress, if we don't progress because of the numbers, fine. But if we've done our job at home as much as we can do, I think Atalanta will horses, and I think Dortmund will horses. To be brutally honest, because they're 2 really good European teams, and they proved it last year. So Leipzig, it's a different team for Angie's team. Remember,
it's interesting, Desi, how many players have Atalanta or Dortmund sold for last? I don't know the answer to this. Have sold for last season because yourself, they're also selling clubs. So it'd be interesting if they've lost 3 or 4 of their best players and what that means to them, having to rebuild. I don't know is the answer. I really don't know.
No, but I was also touching there like Leipzig. Is it Leipzig we played and they said they knew exactly where to put the ball because of Angie's inverted system. So it's no Angie's team they're playing this time. It's Brendan Rodgers' team. So it's a different challenge. That way. So wait and see. I think very, very interesting. I think, is it tomorrow the schedule comes out? I think
it's due. Indeed.
So that'll be interesting. So of course.
Can I ask you all, if you're picking a away game, right? What away? If you could get a ticket, which away game would you pick?
Atalanta.
Why?
Because it's Italy. That was Tim's first away game in the Champions League. Me and you, Turin, Italy, take us back. 80 is sleeping in the one
That's a
bedroom.
podcast, Des. That's a different podcast. Its own. We'll do an away European podcast of its own pre-season.
Yeah, and by the way, just on that, R.I.P. Roger Bailey, who passed away, journalist, and I'm sure you interviewed him that night we were in Seville.
I think I did, Desi. Valencia.
When we made who Keevans walk into the column, the concrete column. So R.I.P. Yeah, right, okay, I'll ask that question to the rest of the guys.
Right, Ralph, of the 4 away teams, if you could get a ticket, I think I can know the answer. You kind of briefly mentioned it a few minutes ago. What one would you pick?
I don't know where Bergamo is. Is it North Italy?
Aye, near Milan, I think.
North of Milan. North of Milan.
That's closer to the boys' house than Dortmund.
So surely you're well got to Bala, because that's just up the road for you, if that's the case.
No.
Birmingham. Sorry, I had a reason pet in my head there. Barry.
All right, Jimmy Neal. Timothy Spall there. Right, so Ralph, you want to go to Dortmund? You want to go to Dortmund to experience the Dortmund fans?
I think it'd be a great day out.
Right.
Monty.
What be you then, Monty?
Yeah, I think Dortmund for me just very, very firmly, just because of the whole sort of, I think the whole romance of that stadium. I'd love to be in it when it's full, and I don't think it's as guaranteed a horse in Desi as you might perceive yourself. I think we got a chance.
No, I think it'll be a step too far for us, to be honest. But Villa, I think, will be very interesting. They may be too fast for us, and as you say, Emery may be too clever at this stage. I think they've bought 8 players, and they're also put a bid in for that Rafinha from Barcelona. And Barcelona have told them to come back with cash only, and they haven't walked away yet, Aston Villa. So that'll be interesting, because he's a starter for Barcelona. You know what I mean? But so then you thought that was going to be the Battle of Britain, and then the day the Huns get drawn with Angie's Spurs and Man United. So poor Manchester, as if the people of Manchester haven't suffered enough. They've got to have the Huns coming back to there. So yeah, so last question on the Champions League. I'll start with you, Hector. How much is the 4-game package going to be? Prediction?
4 games compared to 3.
Leipzig, Young Boys, Bratislava, Bruges.
I think they'll pitch it. I think with 40 quid a ticket, 160 for the 4.
160.
But if you buy the 4, that is 160. If it's a one-off ticket, there's ones that will go to whatever.
Us season book holders, no your Monties who just turn up and say, lads, I'm in Glasgow, I've got a ticket.
I'm going to go for 160 for the package.
Okay, Monty, you're a finance man. What do you think? If you're the CFO at Celtic, you're looking at that draw saying, right, how much can I get away with here? Or are you rewarding the loyal fans? What are you doing?
If you think for a second that's going to be an average of 40 quid a ticket, I've got some magic beans that I'd love to sell you. Not the fucking gun. It'll be a minimum 45 quid a ticket. Minimum 45, which will bring it to 180. They'll not do 200 unless they're really cheeky. But, keeping it below the 200, I think they'll do. I think you're looking at 180 or 190 for the 4-match pack.
Yeah, well, I've got 180/200 written here, because I think 190 is too hard to try and justify breaking it down to 42.50 kind of thing. Handling
fee, Timmy. Handling fee.
Online, that's separate. Yeah, they do it online. Ralph, what are you going for? Or even Ralph, what do you think? One-off tickets, they'll go for the old any that aren't picked up, but it sounds that they will be picked up. What's your kind of ratio here, or the range you're going for here, Ralph, that they're going to try and get away with for one-off tickets, even 60 quid?
I had a look at what we've spent in this window, right? We've 2 £10 million players, if you average.
Okay.
3 million here and you're 2 million there, and maybe another one tonight. We've spent a lot of money this window.
Roughly 32 million. 32 million.
32. Divide that into 50,000 or whichever.
Okay, Monty, on you go. You're up.
Pay for it.
I like his thinking, but that's good thinking, right? Yeah.
Right. It's simple. They put money out, they want it back. For whatever reason, they're holding money in the bank. They're still going to hold it in the bank. So I reckon you'll get a Champions League package for 200 or there or thereabouts. 995, whatever. However, because people will not take it up, because they can't. Oh, come on, you've just bought your new tops, you've got your season book. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. So I think there'll be a special price of £75 a ticket. Mind, I'm staying.
Wow.
Right. Judging by you, in fact, let me cancel that. Judging by your calculations or your estimations there, Ralph, let me design it this right by 54,000 for the sake of it. You're looking at cancel.
190.
Do you know the last time?
190 at 54,000, Desi, is going to get you about an Adam Da plus a couple of million.
And then £4 for a pie. I said the other day, 150,000 pies at £4 a pie. That's bringing in some cash.
But Ralph, you didn't take into consideration the players were sold. Ralph,
if I'm
next consideration the players were sold. We're sold players for more than 32 million, if you know.
Well, welcome to Net Spend, the podcast.
We're quids in. Sorry, Desi. We're actually we're in profit this window, and we've spunked the best part of 30 million. Fucking great.
Right. We're playing Aston Villa next month, the month after, whatever. Have you looked at their finances? They've had to take out shareholder loans.
Who?
They're Ibrox of England.
Where did Rangers come into this conversation?
I was just trying to...
You're talking about Aston Villa?
How heavily they're knackered. And yet they're playing at the top level in Europe, but financial fair play, where does that come into it? We've got money in the bank. They're taking out shareholder loans, and yet they're the glamour club.
Yeah, who are you talking about? Oh, hold on, who are you talking about here?
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, right. Like we're getting off track here a lot because we're going to start coming into a Rangers whereby we claim we won the best we won the best ran football business trophy 2024 according to a recent report, and grabbing onto that. So yeah, so I had 180 to 200. I think they might balk it going for the full 200 because there's no a big name in the home games. If we had a Dortmund at home or something, I think they would have been able to justify that. But I'll go for I'd say the 180. I think they'll be confident of getting that sold. You know what I mean? And then Hector touched on a few folks said every game will matter. So that's also quite interesting because you've not got that's useless, or they'll beat us over there, we might beat them here. We used to always be us against the pot 4 or the pot 3 team. So that'll be good. So that's us. So that's the Champions League draw. We'll find out tomorrow what the schedule is. All the phones, all the airlines, all the hotels, everything will melt down because it's happening at the exact same time as Oasis. Ticket line, we're trying to get tickets for Oasis, and the subsequent hotels and airlines and blah, 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 real tickets for that. So that'll be interesting. I think Villa's the most interesting kind of one regards the battle I've written. So, quick question. Who would be your nominations for the Villa game to be on the pundit and the TV, given there's so many players and managers, so to speak, who have had connections with both teams? Hector, off the top of your head, just a quick question.
Well, you're thinking Martin O'Neill and Stan Petrov, aren't you? They tuned in Stan Killamore because he has been a Celtic fan and a big Villa fan. That'd be the 3 for me.
Okay. What about you, Ralph? You going for Sutton? He was at Sutton Sinclair. He was there and all. Alan McInally.
You know, Aston Villa's not even a proper football club.
Are you going for Prince William?
You come up Junction 6 and there's this of a stand and a 10 football club around it. You can't park there. The chip shops are all... No.
So you're not watching the game, is that what you're saying? You're not even watching the game?
It's a bit shit.
But Desi, there's a skill. There's a skill what he's done there. He's totally changed the topic into they're not a football team. That's a skill.
Uh-huh.
That's a skill. Well done, Ralph. Well done.
Well done. So, all right. So, Monty, what about you? Monty, who you want to watch or listen to?
I think Alan Hutton and Ali McCoy. I think it'd be great for commentary for that delegation.
Alan Hutton was at Villa, wasn't he? That's the perfect choice. Hutton and McCoy. And again, a quick shout out, Hector. I don't know if did you see any of the Kelly game last night?
No, I didn't, Desi. No.
And I don't. But Kelly's got an American commentator that covers Kelly TV, and the guy was like listening to Casey Kasem, and he did not have anyone in the studio with him. The guy captured the game perfectly. He let silences go during the game, as in this like he's watching football. He explained stuff. Monty was quoting Dylan Thomas. Oh, it was a breath of fresh air. Then we turned over to the Hearts game, and you had the usual Michael Stewart. You had Shelley, whatever her name is, who used to run the football team. All of those useless people. You know what I mean? It was a total
Neil McCann.
Cheese. Right. So that's the Champions League draw. Champions League draw. That leaves us with one quick topic to cover. The Huns game on Sunday. Hector, any concerns? Now that Matt O'Reilly's gone, be bad disruption, any concerns?
The only concern there's probably two concerns. One concerns the referee. And
good point.
Well, John Beaton's the fucking ref. Is Dallas the
Dallas?
I mean, that of course that's a concern. Yeah. The other thing is, all it takes is one daft decision. What I mean by that is that, a foul becomes a red card. That can change the game. But if we play our game and play level with hit, end of last season, this season, then if we play to our levels, we should win that with a bit to spare. Just nothing daft. No daft refereeing decisions or VAR. They're going to hump it long to head the ball up front, try and get a free kick, put it in the box, they'll fall down, try and get a penalty kick. Just play to our strengths. Keep control of the game, control possession, dominate, have a go at them and put the ball in their net. If we do that and we play our game, we should win. We're a wee bit to spare, Desi.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go for 2-0 Celtic.
2-0, nice, okay. Right, Ralph, over to you. You have been highlighting in the diary at www.etims.net regards the kind of foul quotient and the regularity for early yellow cards for Celtic. So you're fearing that again, Ralph?
I'm not fearing it.
Sorry, Ralph?
Right. It's not a fear. It's an expectation.
Yeah, perfect one.
And what's going to happen is we'll get a few players booked early on. They'll not get actually, having said that, a couple of media outlets have said, well, do you know Celtic have never conceded a penalty to Rangers at an Old Firm game, and they still use that term, for 14 years. That's kind of letting us know that it's going to happen. Because when it does happen, we'll say, oh, come on, it was a referee. Well, no, it doesn't normally happen. The whole thing's kind of building up to at least a draw for them. Because if we beat them, we're 5 points ahead. If Aberdeen win at the weekend, they're 5 points ahead. I was talking to a Blue Nose earlier on, and he says, do you know the best we can hope for is third? He says, why? He says, because we're shy. Now, this is going to be a marker. They've got not a Champions League group, what am I talking about? Europa League group that is possibly going to make them not only the worst ever Champions League group performance, the worst ever Europa League performance. Their company or club is falling apart. They need something to hang on to. They need something to give them hope.
And so will that be beaten in Andrew Dallas then, you think?
In Dallas. Really, if you listen to this, go to your bookies on Sunday morning. Put money on our players getting booked in the first half, their players getting booked late on, because it'll balance out. don't put money on a penalty because they're not even going to get into that half. But there will be stuff to talk about afterwards. Beating will break the play up. For goodness sakes, there's a directive from UEFA. You cannot have held a season book or have a conflict of interest with another club and referee a game.
Yeah, he's away again. Over to you. Over to you, Monty. Quick, Monty, jump in while he's quiet. Monty, so what do you think? Do you get any hopes? Have you got any anticipation? Let's think positive, Monty. Are you looking forward to seeing Rio Atati play a blinder, etc.?
I had a quick look, Desi, at when I seen their 6-0 at the weekend, I went, okay. And then I seen their starting 11 before I seen the goals. And any notion that I had of being fearful of the fixture just disappeared. In every single position, Desi, we've got a better footballer. Arguably, Dujon Sterling he's a decent footballer. He might improve us on the left. But I think we're going to be comfortable, turn up, play our game. I think 3-1, Desi. And again, I'll give them 1 because, as Ralph pointed out, the bat symbol has gone up for a penalty because they haven't got one in 14 years. So they'll get one. I think we beat them 3-1. And again, I would just love it to be the game where we click into being ruthless and fucking really horse them. But I think 3-1, Desi, we're just a lot better than them at the minute. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up a draw either, to Ralph's earlier points. The referee.
Honestly,
3-1.
that classic Donegal caveat that he started introducing because he's moved up to Donegal nonsense at the weekends. Right, Ralph, what's your score prediction?
Hector.
Fuck's sake. Ralph, put 50 pence in the meter for God's sake. Even though people can't see, but Ralph appears to be standing in the street at this point. I can see cars going past him. He's in the conservatory. Ralph, what's your score? Ralph, hold some fingers up and give your score prediction. We'll interpret it. What's your score prediction?
That's paid rude, Ralph.
A draw, 1 each. 7-0 for us.
The Rangers?
No, right. For us. Oh, they haven't even. They couldn't count 7 if they scored them.
Right.
Well, they destroy them back in their box, or they're going to get away from them, which will be a draw. I can't see how they'll beat us in the pitch.
What's the fucking? You get one choice. What's the score?
One word.
7-0.
7-0. Excellent. That's it. For me personally, if Matt O'Reilly was still there, I was confident.
No, he's not.
Listen, I was. Oh, you just got to Rambo, and I'm allowed a fucking 30 seconds.
3-1, get up though.
If Matt O'Reilly was still there, I was confident of an easy 5 goals against them because I did think this was going to be the game. Click into gear and just annihilate them. But Monty's already said 3-1, so I will go for 4-2. I think we'll win with 2 goals, but I think they'll score. But I was originally thinking 3-1, but seeing as Monty's got that, I'll go for 4-2. I think we're just faster.
That's what's my.
I think we're just better than them, and this is when it's time to prove it. In fact, and then you want. I'm dying for Philip Clement to come out and say everyone can clearly see who was a better football team out there. That like all the excuses he's been using the last season. That would be great. So again, just keep yourself in denial.
Just one thing, yeah. I think we're all broad agreement. If we play our game, we'll win, right? Mm-hmm. Or barring Dallas and Beaton.
Yeah.
But I would just say this, if I was offered a 1-0 Celtic win on Sunday, I'd take it. You go 5 points clear after 4 domestic games. It puts so much pressure on him, and we know how much he can take pressure. And I think we've got a platform to really push on and really create a lot of kind of gap between them and us. I think the pressure on him would just build and build, and I think you can see the signals come with him over the next few weeks.
Do you know what might be kind of significant? Did you see what your man Clement said about the boy from Augsburg?
Yeah.
Exciting young player I've ever seen. He's going to do this, going to do that. If we beat them, and don't include a guy we just signed who their manager said was an exciting prospect who will go to a higher level, that will destroy any thinking Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Wait, now, I just kind of killed my own argument. But do you know what I mean? If we signed a boy and paid good money for him, that their manager would have loved to have in their team. That's kind of psychological as well.
Right, so I'm going to, we'll just close. Ralph, I hope that young Turley comes on with the last 2 minutes of the game and scores on Sunday to put a big smile on your face. I know you've been a big advocate of him getting his chance, so that would be nice. So that's us. So as we said, I'm just wary of time here. We're running longer than a Michael Nicholson negotiation tactic. We can only we turn up. Beaton does his usual. We can guarantee. I think even the last couple of league games we've had, it's been Celtic 70% possession, but we've had 3 times the number of fouls against us. You know what I mean? Even though you're running with the ball and somehow we still create these fouls. So again, I'm sure the foul count will be the exact same ratio.
The one thing I would just add is that in terms of Celtic as a team, and you guys have all touched upon it in the podcast, end of last season, pre-season, and this season, you can actually see the difference in terms of the team's progression, how quick we're using the ball, how more attacking we are. We're in control of games, but control of the games using the ball at purpose going forward. I just think if we keep doing that, I think we should do really well come Sunday.
Yeah.
It's the way Steen used to always say, we'll do stuff. If it doesn't work, we'll keep the ball and give it another shot. And it was only St Mirren, but I've seen that. I just seen us holding back and waiting until we get another wee bit of confidence and tried stuff. And then late in the game, we struck a couple of times. I think we're going somewhere. I think, and I hate to say it to an extent because I was never a Rodgers fan, but I think he's getting a grip on it and he's doing it his way.
Okay, nice words from Ralph there. We'll wait and see. But it's Touchwood Sunday. Chances are we'll regroup maybe the start of once we know what's happening with the Champions League schedule and maybe a reflection on the Rangers game, etc. We'll wait and see, but we'll know the best at turning up on a regular basis, maybe the end of next month. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. It's just left for me to say thank you to Ralph Mal. Thank you, Ralph, for joining from the living room, the Coffin, Dodgers, wherever you were earlier, the porch you're in just now. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks.
Thanks to Monty, who is actually in the full darkness now. The Donegal darkness. It's only his glasses are reflecting the moonlight now. It's literally vampires. The Donegal vampire is striking. The turkey teeth shining bright. Thank you, Monty.
Thanks, Desi. Thanks, lads. Enjoyed that.
And remember, anybody, if you're looking for a holiday let in Donegal, just give Monty C for.
Just Google Monty C bumps. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally to Hector Bandito. Thank you, Hector.
Premium holiday let.
Thank you, Hector.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks very much, folks, for listening. Apologies for the technical difficulties caused by our Outer Hebrides broadcasting corporation Wi-Fi users out there. Hopefully it will be rectified soon. Fingers crossed we're celebrating a big one on Sunday, and who knows, we may even have another signing or two in the next 90 minutes. All right, my name's Desmond. Good night.